Hello and welcome to the fourth part of our TypeScript for Beginners series. In this session, we're going to actually not just live on localhost and have the lovely project that we worked on throughout this entire series, but actually get it out, publish it to the web, and we're going to do that with Azure Static Web Apps. And there's only one person that I know is the pro at Azure Static Web Apps. It's Maxim. Hello, Maxim.
Hello, Corey. Hello, dear folks who watch this workshop live or record it. Great pleasure to share what I know about static web apps.
Cool. I'm going to hit this intro button and then we're going to get into it. And we are back after that beautiful intro music that I play every time. I'm curious. I see some people already in the stream. I want to know where you're joining from. Maxim, we're doing some cross-Nordic communications. I'm in Stockholm. Maxim, where are you joining from?
I stream live from Oslo, capital of Norway, where I'm based in.
And it looks like a very stormy day, judging from the background.
Yes, it's so here in Microsoft Norway office, and I'm streaming from the office. We have room names dedicated to this or that weather condition, and as you can assume, this room called Storm.
Nice. So yeah, let's see what people are joining. I'm also interested in what your experience with JavaScript is. If you got a favorite framework library, I'm a React person. I know Maxim. What do you like to work in when you're working with JavaScript?
Ooh, yeah. First of all, on my intro slide, I introduced myself as a web dev who builds web applications, web pages, web projects, web whatever since last century. And actually, yeah, I started to build something for the web in late 90s in my university years. And by those time, I don't remember which version of JavaScript was that. Definitely the term web front end didn't exist, at least in the modern understanding. We all were webmasters, not even web developers. Yeah, so fast forward. A few years ago, how many years ago? Maybe 7 or 8. I started to look at frameworks, and I don't remember for which reason. I started with Angular and AngularJS by those years, of course, and immediately fell in love with this framework. React didn't exist, by the way, so the selection was not that great by those years. And I met lots of people who build stuff with AngularJS. Again, around myself, I became Google developer expert in AngularJS. I started to organize meetups and even conferences around that about that framework. So just historically, I'm more into Angular, and I know Angular team very well. And yeah, so I'm in this universe, but. Of course, I'm looking at all other interesting frameworks. And by the way, folks, I encourage you to have a look at a framework called Quick. Actually, this is something developed by Miško Hevery, who is famous father of Angular. He's no longer working for Google and for Angular team, of course. But yeah, he's developing something completely new in terms of approach. And like I was like, wow, is that ever possible? That speed, that great developer experience. So if you want to have a look at something really new, something really like a breakthrough, Quick.
Nice. I definitely did some love Angular. I would say I don't want to cause a drama or debate, but I fell in love with Angular like yourself, but then I fell out of love with Angular after I used React. So, but let's see what we got here. I like to play this game of who's the furthest away from each other. So we have Hector here from Mexico, and I'm gonna butcher this, but Belajar from Indonesia. I think it's pretty far away. but we got some React people. This is lovely. Thank you, Mandar. Team React. I don't see any Angular yet, Maxim. You're a little lonely here, but what are you going to do? And then some question here, Macromedia Drumbeat. I have no idea what that is. Maybe you do.
Maybe it's again from early years.
Yeah,
So
Macromedia anything is probably early years. That's what I was saying.
Yeah, I remember there was a framework or platform called Cold Fusion, but it's again before rise of JavaScript frameworks.
Yeah, I'm loving all this React love. Thank you, John.
Yeah, and I'm really surprised by geodiversity of our today's attendees. Great job, Corey, on gathering this community.
GI diverse, but not JavaScript diverse. But hey, that's what happens. Cool. Well, we're gonna get into it now. First things first, we are gonna talk a little bit about what's available to you in regards to Azure Static Web Apps. But before we go on to that, this is a part of a series called TypeScript for Beginners. We have done 3 of these things already, 3 episodes, if you will. I would love if someone even have lied to me in the chat that you've been to all 3 of these sessions or seen all 3 of them. I know on the 3rd one, at least we had a few people joining, but maybe this is your first time joining, and that's completely okay because we're going to be working on the project that we built throughout this series, but you will learn how to use Azure Static Web Apps now and deploy it. And I do encourage everyone to join and watch the other ones because they'll see how this project has built up and learn a bit of TypeScript. So if you don't know TypeScript, this will be a great opportunity to get started. So we did a getting started with TypeScript just to get some syntax, understanding the concepts of TypeScript. Then we actually did building your first TypeScript project, which was setting up this project and then building the backend, which now that I say it is odd that we started with the backend, but hey, that's what we did. And then we built the front end in the last session. And now we have Maxim here to help us actually deploy this project out there. We're going to share a lot of resources and things with you throughout this session, and we'll have a repo that you're actually working on. And we'll also have the episodes of this. But I know I've been on your side of things, and you like see things, and you want to like Google and find them. I always say like no stress. We have all the links that we're going to share, as well as a project, Max, and maybe you will talk about in the end some BPM counter project that you made, all within this one link. I'm going to put that into the chat. But that will be a great place to get all the further episodes and things that are around the resources that we're going to share with you today. So you'll have that link in all one good place. Another thing is Maxim's going to walk through with us actually how to deploy this project. But you might be hard to follow along if you're like trying to do, maybe you have like multiple screens or something. But we actually have this Microsoft Learn course or module, if you will, that actually walks through both working with either Angular, React, Svelte, Vue. So no quick, unfortunately, Maxim, but maybe when it grows in popularity, but it actually getting and building SAP step by step or publishing that step by step. So even if you have your own personal project that you want to experiment with this, it's all right here on this Microsoft Learn course. And that link is also going to be in that link. But I'll stop talking because we need to start doing. So Maxim, I would love, let's get started on what is Azure Static Web Apps and how can we actually get started deploying this lovely project that we built over this time?
Yeah, thanks. And yeah, before start doing, I'll continue to talking a bit because first I want to introduce what do we in Microsoft do to delight web front-end developers, to introduce best-in-class developer experience for hosting the applications we create. Again, historically, I see that front-end, like specifically here I talk about front-end web developers, are not thinking too much about cloud stuff, right? So for whatever reason, I'm speaking for myself, like a few years ago, we tend to think, okay, we are doing something that runs in the browser, right? And mainly, in many cases, this is something that requires just a simple static web server. Why do we ever have to care about all this complexity about, I don't know, cloud native, CDNs, and everything, and the DevOps? Maybe this is too complex to even look at. But let me try to convince you that, first of all, it's absolutely relevant. This will I don't know, add some extra nice lines to your CV, and it's interesting to let's say create project end to end. So you start from scratch. For example, if you talk about side projects, hobby projects, our own small ones, and seeing it hosted on the real domain name with proper scale, let's say ready for millions of the users, and all with great developer experience, and all without diving too deep into how things work under the hood, at least from the very beginning. Okay, this is quickly about my upcoming slide deck before we actually go and host a project created in the previous episodes in the cloud. And I'll try to be very concrete and will not dedicate too much time to slides themselves.
We already have one quick question, Maxim, if you
yes,
actually want to take it. It asks about, does this work with SSR? So maybe explain SSR first for anyone that doesn't know. And then does Azure Static Web Apps work with SSR?
Well, the devil is in details. As the naming of the service says, static web apps, it's not something where you render stuff on the server, at least during runtime, right? And in majority of scenarios, SSR involves exactly this. So we actually go back to late 90s when we used PHP to generate ready-to-go HTML on the server before sending this to the browser. So the simple answer is no, SSR on runtime is not supported, but there is one extremely popular framework. Actually, I don't know, it's even larger than just a framework if you compare this to just React, for example, called Next.js. Maybe like experienced web developers definitely heard this name. If you are really new, please look at this. Very popular. Maybe this is kind of de facto standard for greenfield projects these days. And specifically for Next.js, SSR is kind of key differentiator. Again, there are multiple options, and let's skip all nitty-gritty details. But I can say that specifically for running Next.js workloads, there is a small portion of SSR available as part of this service. So we want specifically delight developers who build apps with Next.js in hybrid mode when it's not completely static. So that's not very short, but I hope that that answers your question.
I'm going to share this as well. I don't know, Ali, what SSR you're looking for, or what library framework, but one of our colleagues built a blog using Astro on Azure Static Web Apps. So another good thing, maybe another good resource you might want to check out. So there's definitely some possibilities there.
Yeah, and I can also add that this is a cutting edge of current state of Azure Static Web Apps. Some part of this hybrid mode for SSR support of Next.js is still experimental, and there is a roadmap what will be added. So some features are not supported yet, but we are getting there. Yeah, so what you see on the screen now, actually, this is not like my final slide saying let's stay connected. No, I want us to stay connected before actually everything else. I really want to chat with you folks on LinkedIn, and I mainly post about web frontend, about cloud, and I'm super happy to receive your questions on LinkedIn. This is my favorite social network. So yeah, let's stay connected there. And as I already told before, joining this developer relations role in Microsoft 4 years ago, I spent 20 plus years as a web developer. Started as webmaster, then web frontend, then web full stack, and you'll always find me speaking at the conference about great things in web frontend, and my special passion is progressive web apps, but it definitely deserves a separate series of the workshop. Maybe Corey, let's talk about this. Maybe PWA could be the next topic. Okay, then let me go next. It's changing this multi-screen setup. Yeah, this is what I call a bit marketing slide. We empower all web front-end developers to achieve more with our services, and a bit personal slide, and this is about the project I want to specifically showcase before we go into practical part. For one reason, this project I created for myself. This is my small side project. I'm like hobbyist DJ and music producer. It's a bit more complex in its setup than the one that we'll have a look today. So maybe like after you explore everything about today's project and want to dive deeper into something, let's say, more real life stuff, because this project is in production. This project is in production and has some interesting features, of course, including progressive web apps. Maybe it could be next logical step for you to explore. And of course, it's open source, and in GitHub repository, I tried to explain all the steps about deployment to Azure Static Web Apps as detailed as possible. So we definitely, for sake of time, we are not going too deep into the details, and I'll try to keep demos as short as possible. But you can always go back and read more. So long story short, I created this project for my personal needs, and the core functionality is very simple. So it listens to audio stream on the fly from air, and calculates BPM, beats per minute. This is very important parameter when you want to mix two tracks together as a DJ, and that's especially relevant if you, for example, one of the tracks you produce this on the fly, so you want to have at least rough estimation of its tempo to better mix this with your next track. So yeah, I created this app, and it's purely front-end, amazing state of web front-end. With web APIs, with power of browsers and the web platform, you do all this core functionality straight in the browser. So you don't send audio stream to server for analysis. No, it's all happening straight in the browser. That means that you easily can run this application offline. You don't even need internet connection to have this core functionality. This is why I converted this to progressive web app. So it's installable, and like it behaves very close to what we call native application. And yeah, during my homebrew DJ sets, I run it on the local host, right? And I'm super happy how that works. And I want to share this with global DJs and music producers community. I started to think, so what's next? First of all, yeah, sharing with more folks like me, that might be useful for them. Then adding some extra features. So maybe I want to create kind of user account for this service. For example, just to gather some stats, your favorite tempos, your favorite, I don't know, days and times of streamings and everything. And of course, that involves some user authentication and similar things. And I want to get some help from the platform where I develop at, because I still want to focus on my core skill, which is web front-end development. Good. So I decided to think, what do I need from the hoster, from cloud vendor, if you wish, to help me with this what's next roadmap. And so I put head of like individual web front-end developer or member of enterprise team of web development, because the requirements are pretty much the same. And I identified few categories and like few concrete requests from my side to the cloud vendor, what I want to get out of it. First of all, hosting itself. As I mentioned, we want to share our projects, VPN Techno and our today's project with many people from different continents, different countries. So that would be cool to host it as close as possible to the user, to the consumer, right? So if there is a chance to have data center on your continent or even in your country, that's the best. As we already discussed, some extra functionality, for example, supporting single-page applications and the server-side rendering, at least partially, also nice to have. Maybe SPA in that sense way more important, because I see that it's still kind of main standard how we architect and build web front-end applications these days. And maybe you know that some support from web server side needed to properly organize routing for your single-page application. Of course, custom domain, we want to connect something that we bought, something.com or something.io or whatever. And no doubts, everything should be hosted under SSL these days, like no compromise on security at all. Then if we talk about developer experience, or maybe it's more correct operations experience about this process, the process of deployment itself. Definitely, DevOps is amazingly interesting discipline, and you learn a lot, and it's interesting to know about. But maybe you don't want to do it right here, right now, right? To become a DevOps engineer, to get certification, just because you want to set up somehow automated flow of pushing your code, what you build to the servers. So this is why my set of requirements here is fully automated, no extra actions needed to deploy, at least for the simplest scenario. At the same time, that would be cool to have what's called staging environment, some experimental addresses where we can deploy, let's say, experimental version of our application. There are multiple reasons for that. For example, you could run end-to-end testing on this experimentation domain staging environment, or maybe you want to show new version of your application to community to gather some feedback. And again, I don't want to become DevOps engineer just to set up this environment and organize all this automated flow. Okay, and last but not least, as I mentioned, I have some feature roadmap in my mind, and that would be good to have some helpers from the cloud vendor or hoster side. For example, so here until now we were talking about purely front-end stuff, like literally index HTML, JavaScript bundle, CSS bundle, nothing more. But maybe like when application is growing, you might want to add some API endpoints. In my case, I decided, and actually I implemented this simple voting. Was this BPM detected correctly or not? So I got some understanding. Are people happy with using my application or not? And yeah, of course, some layer of the system to persist this information needed, like database and some server API endpoint to gather all these responses. And again, I don't want to spin up separate web server with Node.js or .NET or whatever. I just need I just want to write the code for this function, and that's it. Next, even more like technically challenging and definitely more interesting part. I'm a big fan of everything around digital identities. Authentication and more detailed role-based control. If one day I decide to organize user account, and I will give possibility to my users to log in into their own space there. And maybe for such a simple project, it's even enough for me to not create like full-scale or full-fledged feature, but just authenticate folks via, for example, social network providers. We all can authenticate via our Twitter or GitHub or Facebook, and that's enough. So instead of create your own password, so if there is such a support from this hoster, that's the best. And last but not least in these categories, proper tooling for local development. Of course, it's really good idea to have environment locally on your laptop or desktop, if you use such type of machine, to have this environment as close as possible to what we have externally, what we have in the cloud, just to properly debug, test everything, and if there is some failure, so we can somehow reproduce all these things. Of course, it's not possible to recreate everything, right? For example, quite challenging to have user authentication like fully offline, fully on your machine, and technically impossible if you talk about social network providers. But at least something, some mocks, something for us to debug. Okay, good. And under all these categories and the sets of requirements, I have this one. Very nice, free.
Very important. This is very important for anyone joining us.
So after all, many things, many folks start with small projects, hobby projects. Maybe one day BPM Techno will gather millions of users every month, and then I don't know, I put some banners or whatever, so it will start bringing me some money. Then I'm ready to pay for hosting. But when it's only me and my closest friends, well, I'd love to invest my time, not my dollars, into that. And with all these features, and actually few more, maybe this slide is a bit outdated. There is such service. We already
I didn't see that coming, to be honest. I didn't see that you were going to...
Yes.
Biggest surprise.
I spoiled this on my title slide. Yeah, folks. Actually, I'm super happy to say that I collaborated with engineering team on our Azure side to have the best possible developer experience for this service. It was really nice collaboration of multiple folks from Microsoft, from multiple organizations, just to make sure that, if we roll out something for web front-end developers, we want to make sure that it's on parity with another existing services. And I'll be very, very open and transparent. We have Netlify, we have Vercel, many more amazing services for web front-end developers. So but for, let's say, for companies that already use Azure, maybe using Azure SWA for their web frontends is the lowest hanging fruit, the most natural way to host frontends. And actually, before this service appeared, and it's relatively new in Azure family of services, you had only one, let's say, real option to host just your simple static index HTML file, to create what we call app service, and where you have to spin up, for example, Node.js server or whatever other web server for this simple scenario. But of course, this service simplified life for web front-end developers a lot. Okay,
there was some question here.
Yes, please.
So there was, I think this is very specific to your project, and maybe it's maybe limited on what your experience is, but was a question about why did you make this into a WASM app? Because I guess it's the best performance in comparison, and you get all the sort of PWA features around that.
Well, very nice question. I never actually thought about building BPM Techno in WASM way or mode. Maybe first of all, because I'm not backend developer, and I know that WebAssembly is a perfect way for backend developers, for example, .NET developers, to create something that runs in the browser, something that is in front end. And second, I'm super happy with how JavaScript works for this. So for this particular scenario, for this particular functionality, the superpower, the super performance of WebAssembly is just unnecessary. And since I'm heavily relying on very specific web APIs, like Web Audio API, I would still have quite a significant part of application written in JavaScript. So for me, this could be just unneeded complexity in addition. So yeah, that's I hope that that answers.
Yeah,
but
yeah,
WebAssembly is one more interesting thing for you folks to look at if you just start your web dev career.
It's a great point, and it's not like, I mean, not to steal your thunder or not a pun to your room that you're in, but next week I will be doing a WebAssembly introduction. So I know Crypto Uni, you'll be there. But yeah, so if you are interested in WebAssembly, tune into that. I wish I had a link I could just drop into you, but I'll drop it in later on. But thank you also, Crypto Uni, because you're at least 2 out of 3 on the TypeScript beginner series. I don't think anyone can beat that. If you've been on the 3 out of 3, please do let us know or let me know so you can make my day.
Cool. To finalize a narrative about WebAssembly. So this is I personally look at WebAssembly at something for really, let's say, computational heavy applications. Like, for example, there is Autodesk like migrated to WebAssembly. So just imagine complexity of that application. And also there is some applications from Adobe are in WebAssembly, so that runs exclusively in your browser without any kind of backend. So it's that complexity of apps. Definitely not. BPM Techno is endlessly far from there.
Yeah, and Albert has a great point. I think also some of the ecosystem features or benefits, you kind of lose that when you do, especially interop with JavaScript. So it's a good point, but yeah, look forward to seeing people come next week. I'll drop a link. The other question we had was, does static web apps work well with micro front ends?
Technically, for Azure Static Web Apps, micro frontend is not different from frontend, right? So it's just a way you specifically structure your application. So after all, as a final artifact, you still have some static files to deploy somewhere. So yeah, I can say based on that, I can say yes, it works well, like with any other static application.
Good answer.
Okay, let's move on then. How to start? I listed only 2 ways, and without going into too many details, there are many more ways to create particular workload in the cloud. But maybe actually, I delivered this slide deck for let's say more cloud-oriented event, and this is why it actually starts from the wrong step. The first step is to get access to Azure, and here I can say that there is a free trial that you can always go and register. I don't remember exact number of dollars you receive just for trying, and many of the services will remain free for you even after you consume all this credit you get. I don't know, either Corey can post a link on this free trial, or you can easily find it on the internet. It's super simple to get free access to Azure. Furthermore, if you're a student, there is even better option for you. Like, there is separate student free trial with some better conditions. So I hope that this is like proper steps. Let's call it step 0. Then after you in Azure, you either go to Azure portal where you actually create and manage main resources, but maybe even simpler option, and the option I will demonstrate in a few minutes, is actually do the same task via VS Code extension. So I hope that you all know love VS Code. This is personally my favorite editor, and if you use it, you know that it's actually heavily relies on extensions or plugins or you name it ecosystem. So by itself, it's pretty, I know, lean and small, but you enrich it with more and more relevant for you extensions. So yeah, of course, there is corresponding extension for Azure that with few clicks will allow you to create corresponding workload. So basically, it all starts with pointing to code repository. So this is how modern not only web development but development works. You have to have code somewhere in the code repo, and maybe GitHub is the lowest hanging fruit there, again with amazing free tier, and I hope again that you either use this or will start use for your personal projects and for corporate as well. So you literally point your repo. Also, if there is like specific branch, you point to this branch. Then few questions about configuration. All projects are different, of course, and different frameworks have, for example, slightly different, let's say, conventions about where to store build artifacts. So yeah, you will know answers on these questions definitely as developer. Then you count 3, 2, 1, maybe a bit longer if it's a fairly complex project.
I was going to say, do you guarantee 3 seconds? I was going to say, this is amazing.
No, please do not consider this statement as a guarantee. No, it's between us. And then application is online. but yeah, is that a good question? For example, if this is just index HTML, maybe it's even faster than 3 to 1. But if it's, I don't know, if you have a few hundreds of megabytes of node modules to download before building your project, well, it's a bit longer. But still, it's not about hours, right? Yeah, let's say it's not slower than your local build, definitely. Okay, your application is online. Then, so this is a very initial task, and it's actually one-off task, right? So you set up, and the next flow like this is for your next application. But what's not one-off is actually how to deploy a new version of your application. And this is where it becomes interesting, because specifically web front-end projects are tending to be, I don't know, updated and deployed multiple times per day. So it's not an exotic when quite a large web front-end application. It's not waiting, I don't know, weeks or even days before releasing a new version. They deploy a few versions per day, and quite large companies work that way. That means that this process has to be completely seamless, and it is. So how does this work for Azure Static Web Apps? You code, so we are here developers, right? So we wrote the code, we push it to the repo. So most likely, if this is some new functionality, this will be, for example, a new branch, right? So before merging to our main branch. And what's next? This is first step, and folks, there are no other steps. So this is first and only step for you to see freshest version of your application hosted on Azure. Of course, there are many things happening under the hood after you pushed this to repo, to this monitored repo that you set up on the previous step. After you merged after you pushed code to, let's say, GitHub in this example, it starts its own build flow. There is part of GitHub called GitHub Actions, specifically created for automating, for streamlining everything related to ops. This is why it's like a DevOps offering. And in many cases, like after it carefully recreates environment, so basically it starts with, I don't know, operating system, then your npm install, everything. So and everything, it recreates everything from scratch. Then most likely it will end up with running something like npm run build, and I believe this is the case for our today's project and for BPM and for 99% of the application. And of course, it's easily configurable what exact build command. That will generate final artifacts, this index.html, main JavaScript bundle, main CSS bundle, maybe image. Again, it's very different for different projects. These artifacts will be carefully passed from GitHub, in this scenario, to Azure, and that's it. Azure will take care of copying these artifacts to multiple data centers on multiple continents to make sure that your application is as close to its consumer as possible. You can easily set up similar flow for other GitHub or for other Git repositories. So you see, I'm a bit biased here, including, of course, Azure DevOps, and I believe support of other repositories are also in place. Okay, and the next question. Yes,
here.
Please.
Can you actually access Azure Static Site as files? So I guess like hosted on the cloud, as an alternative to those CI/CD pipelines? And does MS have any plans on local tooling like a CLI, which I think you're just saying right now?
Okay, so there are multiple questions. First of all, can you actually access Azure Static Site as files? Well, you definitely can via HTTP, right? Because after all, the final goal is to serve something under HTTP, or of course, to be more precise, HTTPS. Can you access these files somehow, let's say, from internal side? In form of listing of this file somewhere? I'm not sure. I never had this task, this intention. So if it's possible, it's some exotic way, because normally you don't care about this, right? So normally you have artifact, let's say, package with the file. You just want to push it to the cloud to serve it via HTTPS. So yeah, any alternative to those CI/CD pipelines? You get GitHub Actions out of the box. You get Azure DevOps with a few extra configuration steps. I don't know. I'm not sure about other alternatives, and have no idea about is something on the roadmap, because I believe these two cover like 99.9% of possible scenarios. But of course, these are like let's say your final part of CI/CD pipeline. If you have some extra build steps for your application, definitely you have everything listed in, I don't know, in as package and as scripts that actually part of your build flow. And yeah, it's all supported. Let's say everything that you can run on your local machine and everything that you can explain in, let's say, package JSON is correspondingly supported in Azure Static Web Apps. And local tooling, this is exactly about that slide.
It's a perfect match.
We have a very nice utility called Azure Static Web Apps CLI. And it's funny that these days so many frameworks, libraries, tools have their own command line interfaces. And that's for a reason, because we don't want to, don't want to achieve tasks by clicking, because it's not possible to automate, right? We want to write scripts, so robots should work for us. Robots should run all these commands. Our goal is just to explain, and of course it all happens via CLI. So the main features are, first of all, it's a web server itself, and of course with all proper support for routing for single page applications. And what I mentioned in my requirements, emulation of authentication and even some simple like role-based access. It's of course it's all as mock-ups, but still gives you some nice understanding how that might work in the cloud before pushing it to the cloud. And also it's a nice gateway to your serverless part of, or like let's say backend part of your application, if you ever have this as a part of your static web app. So here we go out of the boundaries of static web application once we ever start reasoning about backend. How to start with this tool? Well, classic. You install it from npm, and that makes sense to install it globally. This is why there is -g flag, and then you'll have SWA command available with like few possible switches, parameters to make sure that it works perfectly with your concrete, your specific application. So, for example, starting full-scale development for React will look something like this. And this tool is under constant development. So folks who are behind this, and actually your colleague from cloud advocacy team, Vasim Chagam, is main developer behind this tool. And of course, it's open source, supported by many folks from community. By Vasim is the main driver for moving this project forward. Yeah, basically, I promised to be very short with the slides, and I failed with my promise. I apologize.
You got a lot of questions, though. It's not your fault. And there still is a lot of questions. So
now, okay, folks. Now let's back straight to the project. I encourage you to explore BPM Techno, its GitHub repo, how that works as a homework. But as we call this workshop, right? Let's do something, if not hands-on, but at least demo like. And again, to save our time, I will not do any time-consuming operation. So I try to recreate all in advance, but at the same time, I'll try to explain as good as I can what's going on where. Good. Let me, and yes, at the end of slide deck, I have one main link to share about everything Azure Static Web Apps and BPM Techno, and I kindly ask Corey to post this URL to chat now or later. Good. So let's let me close the slide deck and everything. And yes. Okay, maybe let's start from here. This is final artifact, what I achieved during my experimentation with project during deployment this to the cloud. So you see quite weird URL, nice island, and set of random numbers, just to make sure that URL is unique every time. Azure Static Web Apps.net. So this is address you receive immediately out of the box, of course, free right after you create resource. And let's just make sure that it still works before we go to explaining what's going on in the code. This, so I believe we use this as cool, that started.
It worked. It worked. Oh, yeah, don't act so surprised.
Because during our internal run with Corey, it exposed empty results. And folks, if you followed previous series, you know about this particular project. So this is, if I understand correctly, something about public transport stops and nearest either buses or trams or trains.
Yeah, it's in real time, the Stockholm train line. So you can put in a station ID, which is a challenge about finding that with the API. But after that, you can get real time. So in Stockholm, you have like the boards that say the train is coming in 2 minutes, 3 minutes, whatever. So this is real time. So it's not like, just searching Google Maps and finding the schedule or something like this. This is real time what the trains show on the screen there. So we built a project for that.
Cool. Yeah, so this is front end part of the project, pretty minimalistic, I'd say, and this is back end part of the project. So after we click lookup, we send. I hope maybe let me try to increase the size of everything on that screen, and maybe we definitely with this minimalistic UI we can focus on that part, our backend API. So we send request to the same URL. So please pay special attention to this /API/times and like ID of desktop. So I try to recreate everything as close as possible to the original project. And now let me jump to the code. Yes, I will. Open code editor in a second. Let me stop everything, all my experimental things, and let me try to switch to the branch I created. And yeah, I created separate branch on this demo repo, and shortly after the call, I will send the pull request. So Corey will, I hope he'll approve my pull request, and you'll have ready to go Azure Static Web Apps friendly code in the repository. Just a second, some cleanup, let's call it like this. Yes, I think now we are ready. And yeah, this is my code editor.
Maybe if you could zoom in a bit, I don't think
absolutely.
they can see.
Yes, that's a really good point. Yeah, and you know, I love that the shortcuts for zooming in are the same for what we see in the browser, for what's in DevTools, and for VS Code. And the reason is simple, because everything is driven by JavaScript. So maybe you know, folks, that DevTools itself, this crucial component of the browser, is purely written in JavaScript. Why do I show this secret information from hidden environment file? Yeah, and the same for of course for VS Code. So it's actually wrapper over experience written purely in JavaScript and CSS, and it amazes me all the time. Okay, so back to this concrete project. I don't think that I did any crucial changes to front-end part to make sure that it's ready for deployment to Azure Static Web Apps. One thing though, because the URL of backend was hard-coded to local host something, and of course it's not cloud friendly. And yeah, let's of course you know, in real world project you might want to implement something like a configuration, different configuration for different environments, but it's out of scope for today. So let me where is this? Yeah, so in the original branch called frontend, it's something like localhost 3000 times. But now, of course, it's, let's say, production-ready URL that looks like this. I believe this is the main change I've done here. And we didn't discuss this specifically with Corey. I mean, it was not original plan for this particular series. But I decided, okay, why keep backend as a classical backend? Because my original idea was to spin up separate web application, for example, as part of app service for running Node as it's originally here to expose this API. But I thought, okay, maybe this is perfect scenario to showcase serverless part of Azure Static Web Apps. And what I've done, I converted backend to serverless. And by saying serverless, I also mean that we no longer need to actually spin up the server. So in my code that I have here in API folder, so this is new folder again in this new branch, the serverless function is called times, just to follow a naming from original project. And index TS, this is actually where you find main code that was in a file, if I remember correctly, api.ts, basically the core functionality of the backend that is sending requests to this external service. So it's very close to what you had in api.ts, except I completely removed everything related to web server. So you will not find Express. We no longer need to think about which port are we at. No, it's all this complexity disappears, and this is again power of serverless approach. What we do, we write our JavaScript code, or to be more precise, TypeScript code, and we just follow a kind of convention to wrap everything into function of type Azure function. And there are, again, corresponding extension on let me showcase. Again, for the sake of time, I will not run all this creation process from scratch, but at least I can show you how that starts. So after you got Azure access, after you installed Azure extension to your VS Code, you will be able to log in. And for saving time, I skip this flow, and you will see everything what you have in your Azure account. So you see, I have quite. If session is still fresh, if it let me in, yeah, I have quite a few static web applications, and BPM counter is one of them. And what I created and deployed yesterday while preparing to this workshop is the one called Reactor Workshop. I will show you how that looks in Azure Portal in a few seconds. And yeah, basically you either create resource using this button, or as you know, in VS Code, and there is nice functionality in F1 button. Oh, I'm on the wrong screen, of course. This command palette, maybe I call it like this. Yeah, so you'll find all these things here, and then you follow very simple. Let's call this wizard that will ask you a couple of questions. For example, name of your resource for this static web application, a few configuration options. We also discussed like where is exact folder where your file is located, and you are done. In a few seconds, you get this ready to go URL. And let me, as I promised, let me always challenge to find which screen my cursor at. This is how that looks internally in Azure Portal, Reactor Workshop, and this is automatically received URL. Of course, there is a possibility to add our custom domain if you register something, and I don't remember how many, but you. I mean, it's not in some services. It's kind of extra paid option, but not here. You at least first custom domain you are adding here for free. Of course, some setting up needed on the domain seller side, but yeah, it's just a simple task. You have your application ready. What else I want? After you connect your source code repository, GitHub in my case, to Azure via creating of this Azure Static Web Apps resource, you will notice that one more file was added to your repository. It's in a folder called .github/workflows, and the file will have again name, and that includes all these two random words and kind of hash string. And this is actually set of instructions and set of configurations for GitHub Actions to explain GitHub Actions, how to build and deploy your project. Do you need to understand what's going on here on every single line? Not at all. At least not for simple projects, and at least not from the very beginning, because it's done automatically for you. So you just you can only check how that works. And actually, this file, this workflow file explains when to trigger build project. For example, you see on push and on pull request, and how to exactly build the application. And basically, it contains key configuration options that you will provide during this wizard while you create Azure Static Web App. Main things are application, where's your API located, and destination of your build artifact. So in case of React, like in 99.9% of scenarios, this is folder called build. And yeah. Again, this file is just for you to be aware of, and you don't have to edit this, at least from the very beginning. Then, as I mentioned earlier, once you need to change something, once you want to deploy new version, you just code, you just push new push it to source code repository, this new branch, and you will see a corresponding staging environment ready for you. Again, I apologize, we are well over time. I see that we're running more than an hour. So then, to avoid any second spending on setting this up, let me show how this staging environment looks in my BPM Techno project, because I have this demo environment always ready. I demonstrated this during multiple sessions. So my static web apps listed, and maybe this will be the last thing I demonstrate. You'll find the next steps and the next features in either in GitHub repo description of BPM counter created by me, or in the documentation of static web apps. Okay, so this is what's called environments, and if I didn't change it, yeah, this is a new branch with new feature of BPM, and if we open this, yes, yeah. So instead of blue background, there is just a black one. It's just my experimentation with this particular project. What happens next? Of course, this and yeah. Let me show. It's important, of course, to show how that works, how that looks on GitHub, and what I've done. Another 30 seconds. After I created this experimental branch, I call this a new background color. I opened pull request, and I didn't do any extra click, any extra movement to get a staging environment ready for me. Just thanks to this workflow file, GitHub Actions understood, okay, maybe Maxim wants to create staging environment just because of the fact that he created this pull request. Automatically rated for me. What's next? If I'm happy with this particular version, what do we normally do as developers? We just merge this branch to main branch. Again, no extra actions needed related to any kind of deployment. And Azure Static Web Apps will automatically switch this environment. So what was experimental becomes main. Or other option, if we are not happy with this particular branch feature, most likely is the case for this situation, we delete or close pull request, and the staging environment is disappearing from Azure Static Web Apps. And I don't remember exactly how many, but you also have few staging environments in free tier for Azure Static Web Apps. So basically, for hosting of this BPM Techno, its core functionality, I don't pay anything. So I'm good with what exposed for free, and custom domain UI is looking like this. Yes, folks, again, not to run for too long overtime, let me stop here. Of course, it's like maybe 20% of what I plan to demonstrate, and like always, time management is not my strong part.
It happens. It happens. There's a lot of questions, so that's all what's really important in getting these answered.
Yeah. Questions,
So
this is what I love.
I will take a show a couple more. There was one around staging slot swapping. I think you kind of showed some of that, but is that planned? Is that already in there? What's the status?
This functionality was out of the box from the very early days of this service. Yes, it works like a charm and simple. So again, no extra single click from your side as developer. You create new branch, you create pull request. In a few seconds, you see staging environment ready for you. As simple as that.
Nice. There was another one around Azure DevOps, or does this only work from GitHub?
That works perfectly well with Azure DevOps. As I mentioned, maybe you have to have some couple more steps during initial setting up of the resource, but then again, the flow will be absolutely the same. No extra actions from your side needed.
Got it. And then, last one. Is there a possible way to handle fallback routing?
This is my special point where I'm super proud, because this is where I took. Let me actually drag this.
Are you going to show something?
Tab here. It's documentation. So Corey will send a link with that includes link to this chapter of Microsoft Learn. There are lots of resources about Azure Static Web Apps, quick starts, concepts, how-to guides, and of course configuration of single page application with all sometimes sophisticated things related to routing, fallbacks, everything is in place, is there. Again, first of all, the project that we use is too simple to ever reason about SPA or routing or fallback or of any kind. But of course, if we talk about React applications, Angular applications, Vue, whatever, SPAs, you need proper routing, proper the fallbacks, and it's all included. Let me find. Maybe it's in configuration. Yeah, in super simple words, you deploy one more JSON file called Azure Static Web App, Static Web, no, actually Static Web Apps.config.json, where you know what? Let me just show this in action instead of.
Here we go.
Yes, because for this particular project, I don't think that I ever created this file, but of course for BPM Techno, there is one. And let me just find where it is. I believe source. Yes, this is it.
I'm not sure if they could see that if you zoom in quickly.
Do I still have screen shared?
Yeah.
Okay.
It'd be really weird if you were not sharing this screen.
Yeah. So this is how that looks. Specifically answering your question about navigation fallback and why I'm proud of this, because I took active part in finding, again, best possible developer experience. Believe me, this is not first iteration of specification we ended up with, but now I guarantee it will cover 99.99999% of your needs for any kind of single page application. So it's powerful, it's flexible enough to work good for your project. So a navigation fallback is here, and many more options you can provide, all kinds of redirects, and using the same file, static web app config JSON, we also organize role-based access. So you see, like in my example, some routes only accessible for authenticated users, some routes only available for user with concrete name of the user role, and many more. So this is, and you see, I don't know. I tried to use as many fields as possible. For whatever reason, I even send custom headers, X powered by Maxim Salnikov.
Nice. Brand, you got to do it for the brand. Cool. This
Yes.
has been great. There's one last random question. Have you ever played Atomic Heart?
No. I know I'm
Sorry.
aware of this game, but
I've never heard of it.
I'm still on Cyberpunk era, so still
Okay.
didn't complete this game.
Got it. Well, Maxim, it's been a pleasure. Thanks everyone for joining. You could be anywhere on the internet, but you were here with us. I hope you learned something great things about Azure Static Web Apps. You deployed our beautiful project, so now you know how to do it ourselves. And hopefully, if you haven't joined the other 3 series, this inspires you to get through that process and to the end of deployment. But it's been great. Thank you, Maxim. And thank you
Thank
everyone
you,
for
Corey.
joining.
Thank you, dear watchers. Bye bye.